Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill D'Alessio, and I'll be the moderator today. And this is being sponsored by the Weirton Area Chamber of Commerce. Today, we have two candidates from the primary election. They are Mayor Condit and Harold Bubba Miller. There will be a 2 minutes of opening comments made by each candidate. The mayor will go first on that one. Then on the closing comments, Bubba Miller will be first. A coin toss was done earlier, and Bubba Miller won the coin toss, so he'll have the first question, and then Mayor will answer second. Then it'll be reversed. The mayor will be first on the second question, and we'll continue that way on. Each candidate will also have 2 minutes for the closing comments. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought we did that already.
Yes.
I thought we did that already.
Good luck. Good luck.
I guess the opening comments, I think, Mayor Condit?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here, number one. My name is George Condit. I am the mayor of the city of Weirton. It has been a privilege to serve as mayor of the city of Weirton for the last 4 years. My record is one of fiscal accountability, strong public safety, and promoting economic growth. During my term as mayor, and before that for 16 years as a councilman of the 5th Ward, I have worked closely with the Chamber of Commerce and its members. I have met with the Chamber during that time probably over 100 times, exchanging ideas, working together to actively promote existing businesses and to create opportunities for a new one. I believe in the Chamber's core mission to make our community a better place for everyone to live and work. The Chamber and the Business Development Corp, the BDC, have a true partner with me, and working together over the past 20 years is evidence of that. If re-elected, I promise to continue the crackdown on drug dealers in our community and will continue to fully fund the street crime unit and the drug task force. Further, I am committed to paving more roads and keeping them clean. As for paving, we currently spend $800,000 per year paving our streets and alleys. I would like to add an additional $200,000 for paving projects for those roads that are desperately in need. This sum would come from a revenue source from the sales tax. By the way, I'm happy to announce July 1st, Pennsylvania Avenue from Gilson to Collier's Way, because of my persistence with the West Virginia Department of Highways, will be paved. As for keeping the streets clean, the city of Weirton has just purchased a new street sweeper for $225,000, which will be available this fall to clean every street in our community. In closing, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and looking forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you all for being here today, and thanks to the Chamber for sponsoring this event. We all need to be mindful of those who sacrificed and died to give us the right to hold an election and be free. I'd like to recognize any veterans that are here this evening. If you would stand up. Are there any veterans here? But I'd like to give a round of applause for the veterans. As a citizen and a captive customer of the city of Weirton, I'm not happy with the condition of the community physically and financially, along with the poor customer service for our residents. The only way we can change it, the only time we can change it, is now, election. We need to make up our minds to do so now. The role of mayor is to represent and serve as the citizen spokesman to the council. He must have a vision on how he wants to market our community for population development and business development, but the mayor is not a development expert. His job is to prepare the community for development. The mayor must pull together and work as a tri-council with citizens and business and the chamber together. My first priority is safety and security of all citizens, businesses, and special efforts towards children and schools. As some of you may know, I spent the last 2.5 years getting CO detectors in every school in Hancock County. I did that on our own through our foundation, Seeing Beyond. A safe city is an attractive city if we're going to recruit residents to come here. I'm sure you all recognize what's going on in the Finley Connector on Route 22, which is going to affect our community. I would rather have equipment and not need it than to need equipment and not have it. If elected, I will address my top priorities. The $1.6 million unaccounted for and never explained. Revisit and review the modified B&O tax along with alternative income sources. Appoint a qualified city manager, employees treated fairly on benefits, take advantage of the safety equipment at no cost to the city. And in closing, I ask that you please pay attention and be wise about your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the first question, and Bubba will be answering the first question. What do you believe a visitor's first impression of Weirton is? And what would you do to change or enhance that impression?
Well, certainly it's the condition of the roads right now, and we know we're going to begin to patch and pave some additional roads, but there's a lot of abandoned buildings. The two entrances into our community are depressing. You're coming in from Ohio, you see a vacant lot where a building was taken down and nothing but Jersey berries around it. If you exit to the north, there's empty lots on the corner of County Road and Main Street, and there's some fencing. It's owned by 3 different individuals. The mill owns most of it, but that corner needs to be dressed up. To your right of that corner, there's a beautiful steelworkers monument, and they did an excellent job. That's the kind of corner should be on that entrance coming in. But we need to clean up some of the downtown businesses that are vacant. We need to talk to some universities about with their business schools and talk about incubator programs, working as a partnership with the chamber, the schools, and the city of Weirton. And if you've ever started a business, you know how difficult it is. Nobody hands you money, and you start from scratch, and before you open the door, you owe $10,000 to everyone. And these incubators can work if they're done properly through the business schools of the universities and colleges. Thank you.
Mayor, would you like me to repeat the question?
No.
You're good? All right. You could respond, what do you believe a visitor's first impression of Weirton is? And what would you do to change or enhance that impression?
The city of Weirton is probably, at the moment, a month away from total cleanliness. Every year, the fall and the winter is harsher and harsher, and the state puts a lot of cinders as opposed to salt. Yes, the roads are not in the great shape that they are, but they're much better than they were a month ago. The people need to know one thing, that Main Street, Pennsylvania Avenue, Collier's Way, Palm Drive, all the heavy traveled streets are owned by the state. Having said that, I have, in the last month, worked with the Department of Highways because last year, the year before, they said they were not street sweeping. So this year, after bugging them for a long time, they have agreed to rent a street sweeper on Main Street. After they did that, we also went back and did it again, as well as 3 Springs Drive and Pennsylvania Avenue. We swept the sidewalks and we re-swept the streets. What are the people looking at when they come off of 22 and 30? They look at a brand new Dunkin' Donuts. They look at a row of restaurants, Eaton Park, DJs, and they see growth. They see something that's new. Walmart, what a great attraction that is. And I'll bet a dime on a dozen, a dime on a dollar, that nobody's been over to Aaron's, the new Pizza Hut, and the physical fitness place there. Take a ride over there one day in the afternoon. The place is packed. And there's a lot of out-of-state plates, there as well.
Thank you, Mayor. The next question will be directed to Mayor Condit. We'll go first. The business and occupational tax was recently expanded by the Weirton City Council to include most city businesses. Do you believe the tax is regressive? And if so, in detail, what is your plan to reduce this burden for local businesses?
In 1999, Mr. Moderator, I was the swing vote against the B&O. In 2 years ago, whenever the B&O was implemented, I was also the tie-breaking vote for the B&O. It is a regressive tax. I am a business owner, and the problem with the B&O, it's on the net after you've paid all your rent and utilities and employees. I was not for it in 1999. I was hoping back in Mark Harris's administration that we could have received home rule so we could have expanded on the pilot program then for a sales tax. There are 24 cities in the state of West Virginia that applied for home rule, and 16 of the 24 that got in this home rule program specifically are addressing their tax issues and their money issues with the sales tax. I will not support a B&O. I will support a sales tax, which is not on food and is not on drugs, but it will reduce a B&O and give us more money to operate the city.
Thank you. Bubba, would you like me to repeat the question?
No. The B&O is not based on net. It's based on gross sales, and a lot of businesses can't handle it. And that means they're taking the tax right off the gross sales, and you can't apply to the federal government and get a refund like you do with your personal income tax. So if you have a small company that's not grossing, has a big margin, like a lot of contractors work on slim margins but have large sales, it comes off the gross sales. And it makes it difficult for them to pay the other bills with that amount coming off the top. I've been against the B&O all my life. It is a turn to new businesses coming into town. And I'm in favor of a sales tax. Everyone gets equal responsibility who purchases anything in Weirton to pay towards the tax. The problem that I saw with the B&O is it's a selective B&O. There's exemptions and exceptions all throughout that. The smaller businesses don't pay. Some businesses get a bigger break than other businesses. If you're going to put a tax in, everyone should share in the community the burden. I did do some research a few years back when Weirton Steel went bankrupt and the city was stuck because they had an in lieu agreement that didn't hold any standing in court. And I went to see my friend Ricky Onishi at Wheeling Nishan, and I saw the city manager of Fallsby to find out what they were doing down there. They told me what they were doing. We brought it back here and we initiated it back in 2003, I think, or 4. And that stood until the new owners took over the mill, and then they renegotiated another deal. But I'm totally against the B&O. The home rule is a good thing, but I don't think that we sent down a lot of strong issues the first go around. That why wasn't the sales tax in that? And when they put the committee together to study what they were going to do with the financial structure, that's all they talked about was the B&O. I've had members of the committee tell me you couldn't bring anything else up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This next question will be directed to Bubba Miller, and it's very similar to what both of you were saying, talking about the sales tax, and I don't know if you can, you may be able to mention a little bit more about it, but the question is, many large cities in West Virginia have implemented a sales tax to help fund city government. Are you in favor of the implementation of a sales tax for the city of Weirton? And if so, what would you do to support such a tax? Now, You may have addressed it, and I don't know if there's anything further you wanted to say on that.
Well, I have a business, I have 3 businesses, and 2 of them we collect sales tax on part of our products. The non-food products, we collect sales tax. When I buy product from the local markets, I pay sales tax. Everybody pays sales tax. Go to Pennsylvania, it's the same thing, you don't pay it on food. West Virginia dropped the food tax a few years ago, which is a blessing, but every quarter I send in my sales tax to the state of West Virginia. I'd rather do that to the city of Weirton, so we could have an ongoing tax revenue for our community. And the only way that we can do that is try to repeal the B&O and get a feel for what the sales tax will generate in the city of Weirton. In this way, you can gather revenue from individuals who don't even live here that shop here. And with Walmart, as the mayor said, and some other businesses, it would be to our advantage to have that.
Thank you.
As I look around, probably 90% of you know exactly my feelings on the sales tax and the B&O. But what I want to address to everybody here is what I would do with the money, with the sales tax, because the estimated dollars and cents when you have to reduce the B&O, which is state law, could be $2+ million to the general fund. My concern is, and being on the pension board chairman the last 4 years, the lack of funding for the policeman and fireman's pension plan. Council just put $200,000 in that fund. We need $300,000 a year starting this year, 2015-2016 budget, or the fund will be broke in the year 2027. Plus, the additional revenue generated with the sales tax, I want and will implement $200,000 in additional road paving for the city of Weirton. It can be and it will be obtainable. We spend $800 and some thousand with the $2 a week fee that we collect. I'm going to impose a $200,000 into that fund for roads in special wards that have problems that they can only spend their allocated allotment. These dollars and cents will go to specific wards for specific streets for specific projects.
Thank you. Mayor, do you believe the development code and ordinance currently in place for the city of Weirton make it easy or difficult to establish a new business or start a new building project within the city? Please explain your response.
Our code department, how can I say this without offending anybody? It's probably, our code department does what they're supposed to do. And sometimes there's a lot of things that falls through the cracks because they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. In the last 4 years, I've received a half a dozen phone calls because of the lack of getting a fireman to sign off on the project. It's very understandable. We have to have a certified fire department person to sign off on that. Well, our fire department's very busy. Does it take 7 days or 10 days or 14 days? Yes. Brenda and I have worked many times with local businesses that haven't had their code signed off on. Is it a deterrent for businesses coming to Weirton? Absolutely not. I have never, in 20 years, as a politician in the city of Weirton, have ever had a business say, I'm not coming because of your code restrictions.
One of the restrictions that we had that about a year ago, I guess there was a lot of discussion on the drug treatment center that they want to put out on Collier's Way. That center is still not open. Kids are still having troubles with drugs. We need to get it open because there's a disagreement on what code to apply to get it open. Is it a group home or is it a detox center? The state of West Virginia disagrees with the city of Weirton opening it up as a group home. There are certain regulations in that center that need to be met before you can open up as a detox center. So we're holding up that business, and the person who built the business is trying to go by the rules that he was given on building a group home, but still the state has not okayed it. I'm just giving you the information on that. They're still not putting patients into that center. It's not open yet. But you talk about funding the pension, the $300,000 is additional money that they need every year. They're paying $500,000 into it now. They need an additional $300,000 a year just to break even, and they're going to, and they're approximately 12 to 13% funded, 12 to 13% funded in the police fund. Now, firemen are about 45% funded, and they're not as in such a desperate need for additional funding at this time, but the police do.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Moderator? One quick comment. I'll let him do it again. I'll let him do a comment after I do this one.
We really can't. But in your closing, please, in your closing remarks, you could add that. Bubba, let me ask, the Northern Panhandle is facing an epidemic of drug abuse related to heroin. In detail, what steps would you take as mayor to help address this epidemic?
Well, it's not just in the Northern Panhandle. West Virginia is #1 in the country for overdose deaths. #1 in the country. We're #1 in the country for residents leaving our state. But we're number 49 in quality of life. So we have a lot of work to do, not only in Weirton, but in the entire state. But what I would expect to do is totally support the initiative of the police department and the men in the field who are investigating all these situations, and to continue a high-profile, effective intervention program. We need to get the whole community to support the families. I don't know anyone that's not affected by drugs, alcohol, Alzheimer's, or some disability. Almost everyone in our community has someone they know or immediate family member that's affected by this. We need better education programs. The community needs to know. We don't live in a cocoon anymore. We need to be transparent, and you need to know what's going on in your community. I'm a member of the Comfort House, which deals with abused, physically and sexually abused children. Every year, it's sickening how it's going up, the number of cases in our counties of Hancock and Brooke. And we need to support the organizations to serve the people who have drug problems. We need to work with these people. They're our friends, our neighbors, our family. Thank you.
Just to make a comment on the rehab center, it's a state fire marshals has not signed off on that. Has nothing to do with our code department. I have fully, in the last 20 years, supported every time the street crime unit has asked for anything, as well as the drug task force. I think it's about time that, and I think that we're going to be doing this very shortly, if we're not doing it now as we speak, is to attack the user. If we can get rid of the user, I understand the user buys so much, uses, sells 2 of them or 3 of them just to keep his habit going. I believe that's where we're going. That's where we should be looking at, is the user. Get rid of the user, and there's no more sellers. Wait a minute. I still have time. Chief Alexander, myself, and the past Chief Marshal for the last 3 years, I don't think we've missed a monthly drug awareness program meeting that we have at the library. And I think it's a good thing that they're doing. I'm learning a lot about neighborhood drug problems, and we do not miss those meetings at all.
Thank you. Mayor, like many cities, Weirton is facing a large unfunded pension liability. As mayor, what are your plans to address unfunded city pensions?
I've just told about that. Council just approved $200,000, and in the year 2027, if we don't continue to fund that substantially. The last 12, 15 years, we've just been kicking the can down the road, meeting obligations. But yes, you need to sit down, and I've always invited council to attend the pension fund committee meetings. And yes, it is a problem. I will and stress to council in the year 16, 17 to fully, not fully, but to add $300,000 to that account.
Thank you. Would you like to repeat the question?
Yeah, well, we talked about this a little earlier, and they did approve $300,000 for additional funds this year. Annually, they do $500. They've got to get it to $300 just to stay even with the pace that it's going to take for and the police and fire are only at 12 or 13% funded, where the fire department is closer to 45%. So they're not on the critical line right now. But we need to address that. It can be an burdening situation for the city, and we certainly don't want to see what happened to the employees of Weirton Steel happen to the employees of the city of Weirton by losing pensions and insurance benefits.
Thank you. Next question. The Weirton Senior Center is heavily utilized, a heavily utilized facility by the Weirton residents that has struggled with financial support. Do you believe the city of Weirton should support the Senior Center? And if so, what support would you propose?
Well, you're talking about some of my friends now, Bill. But yes, I do support the Senior Center. I support the Christian Center and Comfort House and Salvation Army and all these organizations within our community that are members of our community. And we can't shun them. The city has a responsibility to work it into the budget, not just with CDBG grant money, but into the budget to provide funding for them when they're in trouble. They provide one good service for the citizens right across the street that they can't get other. We get a lot of citizens from other communities that come here. Just like the community center, we get people from out of town come here and use these facilities. We have to recognize that, and we have to work towards that. Some of this can be covered with management techniques and training and reducing some of our internal costs, whether it's purchasing of materials or needs for the city, combining with other cities. I've talked about this when I was on council. If we could form a coalition of cities to be in a buying power, plus maybe place the purchasing of needs in a purchasing person's hands and take it out of the responsibility of department heads. Then they can go, and that's their job to negotiate, and the police chief can run the police department, and Terry can run the parks department, and they would be relieved of some of that purchasing power.
1995, I was involved with the first town hall meeting, and in that town hall meeting we had 10 questions. Number one, what would be your first priority in the city of Weirton? And believe it or not, Senior Center. So in that first term, we created and got involved with the Senior Center. For 20 years, I've been going to the Senior Center off and on. And in 20 years, I see this big decline. The poker runs are not what they used to be. Everybody's having a golf tournament. The bingo is not what it was because of the LVLs. Do I have an answer for the Senior Center? No, I don't. But every year I contribute to the Senior Center. I ask council for their support for the Senior Center. I attend their monthly meetings at the Senior Center. And I encourage each and every one of you, if you have anything, any time or anything like that, volunteer for the Senior Center. It's amazing what they do there.
Bill, am I allowed to respond to that?
No,
okay.
In closing comments,
Oh, okay.
you can make something. Mayor, do you believe there are services provided by the city of Weirton that could be privatized? And if so, which service would you consider outsourcing?
We've been talking about privatizing for 20 years, and no, I do not believe in privatizing. We've looked at it a half a dozen times with the garbage. We privatized the commercial end of it. I've never gotten back to see if it's a fruitful thing for the commercial accounts, but we got out of that. That was beneficial to us. I think that it would hurt the citizens more if we privatized garbage. I do not feel as though that the Public Works Department should be privatized, only because when you privatize something, you lose that everyday operational type of work that they do. No, I am not in favor of privatizing anything.
Would you like to repeat the question?
No, I understand the question, and I somewhat agree with the mayor. We did do a study when I was on council, taking a look at the dumpsters for commercial. I know what I pay, and I know what some of the other businesses pay, and some have larger dumpsters than I have. And but I was told that it had been tried and failed in the past. That is one area where you would like to, if any, go private because of the amount of volume that's involved. But the tipping fees too are a lot more, and so I agree that it's difficult to do that. There could be possibilities of other things that we do that could be privatized, but one of them, if the senior center, get back on the senior center, couldn't make it, you may want to privatize it because, beginning about 4 years ago when I turned 65, I was astounded by the number of people for the next 19 years is going to turn 65. 10,000 a day are turning 65 years old. Now, that's going to increase the volume at the senior center. And it's going to increase the volume at the hospitals, and it's going to increase the volume of the physical therapists and a lot of other facilities. And you have to keep that in mind, that we have to prepare for that like the federal government's preparing for it. I don't know how many will be affected in our community, but 10,000 a day are turning 65 and have been for the last 4 years, and will continue for the next 15 years.
Thank you. The abandoned steel property owner by ArcelorMittal remains a significant impediment to the economic development in Weirton. As mayor, do you believe you can have any impact on helping to get this property released from Arcelor so it can be redeveloped? If so, please explain in detail.
I don't think you're going to have much impact because of the value of the scrap that's involved. I worked in the steel business for a long time. I was a sales manager, general manager when I retired. I dealt with scrap dealers during my career. I dealt with a lot of people in the valley. And when the mill was going bankrupt, they were willing to sell it for $250 million. And I talked to 4 or 5 investors in the city and said, listen guys, you got the money, I got the idea. Let's buy the mill. It's worth $4 billion in scrap. $4 billion. And it'll take us 25 years to scrap it down. Well, they didn't do it. And 4 years later, they came to me and said, Bubba, you were right. Because that's all they're doing. They're going to run the mill until they don't need the scrap anymore. Right now, scrap value is way down, so they're sitting on it. As the scrap value goes up, they're going to start cranking up. You see how much of the open hearth and all that is gone? And they're gradually taking it out. They've taken out the caster and a few things out of the BOP, and they'll be looking to take that down. So once it's down, and it'll take a number of years before it gets down, you might get an opportunity to market the property. You might.
Repeat the question,
Yes,
please.
The abandoned steel property owner by ArcelorMittal remains a significant impediment to the economic development in Weirton. As mayor, do you believe you can have any impact on helping to get this property released from Arcelor so it can be redeveloped? If so, please explain.
Okay, I don't want to be derogatory at all, and what I'm going to say is the truth. 4 years ago, when I became mayor, I got involved with all the principals that were looking at to purchase the ArcelorMittal property for development. 4 years ago, the ArcelorMittal property, or then ISG, was $18 million. A group of leaders in the city went to Chicago to find out that it's just $18 million. 2 years later, the same group and myself met with some of the state senators and U.S. senators to ask for their help, to find out that $18 million became $28 million. Just 6 months ago, we met with the BDC only to find out that Mayoral is saying that the property is worth $42 million and they may have a buyer. Do you want to make an offer? Well, I was born at night, but not last night. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that the silver cloud is going to say, okay, fine, here's $50 million, take it. Personally, I would like to look elsewhere. I've never worked in Weirton Steel. I've spent all my life in retail. I think there's a potential of something else to grow in Weirton. As we speak, I hope something should happen with the Arcelor Middle property. I don't foresee it. Am I pursuing it with the leaders of our community? Yes, I am. I would love to see it happen, but I'm a realist, and for now, I'm pursuing other parts of our city for economic growth.
Mayor,
Bill.
Street paving has become an issue for many Weirton neighborhoods. As mayor, would you support an excess levy directly related to funding street paving? If not, what is your plan to address the street paving?
I will not support an excess levy for street paving. We have 1.2 million square yards of city streets in Weirton. We have 150,000 square yards of alleys in Weirton. Approximate total cost to pave everything, Weirton's, all the streets and all the alleys, is $10 to $14 million. The pavement surface, the longevity, is probably 12 years on a good day. It costs $100,000 for 1 mile of 2-lane roads. We spend $800,000 plus a year. It's not enough. It's not enough. With the excess money from the sales tax, again, you don't pay it on food and you don't pay it on drugs, I am proposing a $200,000 fund to be placed in that $800,000 so we can pave $1 million worth of streets a year.
Well, I would oppose the levy also for street paving, but I would spend whatever money I had at this particular time on the streets. And I've been walking the streets, and I found some alleys that are better shaped than the streets that my neighbors live on. And we used to have a paver in the city that was able to do those streets, and we had a plan to do the alleys every Monday, do alleys, so many alleys. But all of a sudden, you saw the big pavers and the Kellys and going down these alleys and paving them, and I didn't understand that because the street next to it had never been paved. My son's disabled. He lived on Lexington Court, and the whole time he lived there, not once did they even patch a hole. And it's a condition that we need to address. We need to address how we're going to raise that money, but I don't believe it's going to be in a levy. So.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Given the fact that the Weirton City Charter was adopted almost 60 years ago with very few amendments over the past years, do you support any changes to the Weirton City Charter, such as ward realignment to include at-large council representation, or the number of wards within the city, as an example? If so, please explain your response.
Well, that is one area that I've talked about. I think we need to go to 5 wards. We have one precinct in the primary that had 10 votes. Why are we still casting votes in that precinct and hiring people to man that precinct? And they get 10 votes in the primary. So I think the population has dropped below 19,000 from where we were at 30 or 31 when we were young people in the community. And it doesn't warrant having 7 councilmen to cover. We still have the same amount of roads and a number of homes, but the legislation that goes on in our community could be handled by 5 council and 5 wards if we could do that.
That's a very complex question. Having the luxury of being the councilman on Marlin Heights for 16 years, I can relate to the other council people and their wards. Some of their wards are much larger with a lot more people. Personally, I think not having less council people and less wards, but I think what we need to do is to reallocate how we spend our $800,000 in paving. Whereas Marlin Heights square footage compared to downtown, compared to Ward 3 and Ward 7 is day and night. Where we divide the paving amount equally, I think that should be changed. Am I in favor of a at-large council person? Yeah, it is a good idea. As being mayor, I see a lot of different things in different wards with different council people, and it's very important to have an outsider oversee everything. Yes, I would agree to that. A charter change, yes, I would definitely do that.
What is your position on the Weirton Transit Authority and the pending transit levy? Yes, ma'am.
In the last 4 years, the developers that come to our great city of Weirton, they ask about the school system, they ask about the churches, and they ask about the transit system. I believe that we have a very solid transit system. Yes, it needs a little bit of revamped. I think it's got a lot larger, a lot more people use it. I support the levy. Would I pay on my home $34 a year to support that? Yes, most definitely. I think that we can increase I think we've increased the ridership. I think we can increase the routes. I support the transit.
I've supported the transit since the election in 1987. It was my cousin Joe, who was running for mayor. It was our idea to have a transit when they were building the high-rise, Freedom Place 1 and 2. And thank goodness that Senator Bowman was elected mayor, and he did take action to put the transit system in. And there are a few members of the transit board that remember that. And so I've supported it all these years, and I continue to support it. It is a growing need in our communities. If you listen to the transit drivers and the administrators, they're bringing people from different counties to Weirton to work, to bring their families here to shop. And I think it's a benefit to the community, and I hope it does pass. It's very difficult to get the 60% out when you only get 14% out to vote. So we're hoping to get a bigger vote on the general election, and that will help the transit.
Thank you. If you could only implement one initiative to support the businesses of Weirton as our mayor, what would it be and why?
Well, I would work tirelessly to get rid of the B&O tax. It is an unfriendly business. As many small businesses are opening up, the same amount are leaving town. We're losing our Hallmark store. They're moving to Steubenville. And that's been in Heights for a number of years. So they need to have an advantage to come here. And to come here, you have to offer them a good-looking community that has access to rail, the river, and the highways, and we have that. We have all that. One of the pluses the city of Weirton has had for years was the Ohio River. Weirton Steel shipped thousands and thousands of millions of tons down the Ohio River. I did after I retired. I sold people in Houston and sent it down the river. It's the most economical mode of transportation. You drop it off in Weirton, you put it on a truck, you can be in Pittsburgh in 24 or less than 24 hours, an hour. If you leave it on the river, it takes 24 to get to Pittsburgh. So it is economically sound to support the waterway, the highways that we have here, and keep them in good shape for businesses. You're all familiar with the Finley connector that they're building that will connect Route 79, go over 22 to the airport. That's having an effect on us. We recognized it a number of years ago, and we said we need to prepare our community for businesses and residents coming this way. So we need to get ready and clean our community up and be ready to accept the businesses because it's going to impact it. You see it's coming through Imperial and towards Burgettstown. It's coming that way, excuse me.
What was the question?
If you could only implement one initiative to support the business of Weirton, what would it be and why?
As a local business person, growing up downtown in the 70s, I see the new wave I've seen the whole new wave of shopping and the retail. The downtown is not the downtown anymore. Everybody went to the mall. Everybody shopped the mall. And now the downtown, or the mall is not the mall anymore. Now it's Robinson Town Center. And I guarantee you, I've seen each and every one of you at the Robinson Town Center once or twice. The new wave, the new ideas, the open concept of shopping, whether it be retail, office space. Those are the things that we need to look forward to. The Dunkin' Donuts now is a freestanding store where they used to be in malls. The Barney's Bakery is opening a new $1.5 million facility. Domino's Pizza, if you've been there, that's tremendous. There's a reason why these people are in Weirton. There's a reason why. Do we have dollars and cents to spend there? Yes. I would encourage all businesses, all of us, to shop in our local cities and to promote what we have. What do we have? We have the Walmart. Amazing how many people go to the Walmart. How many people drive Three Springs Drive daily, Penco Road daily? That's the new wave, and that's the new future of our business development.
There's only a few more questions left. Do you believe Weirton is benefiting from the local expansion of oil and gas drilling? And if not, what actions would you take as mayor to better position Weirton to benefit from this boom?
Well, is that my question?
Yes.
All right. Yes, I think we're benefiting. Look at the motels. We have 3 motels, and if I'm not allowed to say this, I'm going to say it. Somebody else is looking at another motel. Do we have the motels, the restaurants that are benefiting from that? Yes, we do. I think that it's time for maybe the Weirton Chamber, the Steubenville Chamber, the surrounding chambers to get together to see what part of the fracking or what part of the gas and oil industry that we all can capitalize on. It's here. It's not drilling in Weirton, but they're staying here. They're spending money here. They're going through Weirton. Yes, there's a potential there.
I agree with the mayor. There are plenty of individuals spending money in our community. They're renting homes. They're working at these sites. But I remember when fracking first became noticeable in Pennsylvania, and there was a lot of concern about contamination in water supply. They need the Ohio River. We need the Ohio River for clean water and our access. I'm a little complex on this because I know the issue is hot right now because of the sale of Williams Country Club. And let's be transparent here. The sale of Williams Country Club, no one could figure out what was going on. The mineral rights were sold, kept by the individual, and sold the building for $900,000, whatever. That individual that kept the mineral rights has about 300 acres on the other side of the Ohio River, because he knows that the city put in a 6% tax on oil and gas drillers back in 2012. So I believe his intent is to drill under the river, come up over underneath the property, and pull the gas and oil out of there. I'm concerned for our lifestyle on the Ohio River, and will it change the condition of that Ohio River, which we depend on greatly. Now, if they can satisfy my needs and concerns with that, then I would be in favor. But I believe we have some long discussions to take with that concern, that industry.
This is the last question before the last comments from each candidate. The last question is, from a business perspective, on Weirton, what would your assessment be of our strength, our opportunities, our weakness, and our threats?
Well, definitely the strength of Weirton has always been the people of Weirton. They're exciting, they're givers, they're honest, they're clear, they're hard workers. We grew up in this community helping each other. One of the strengths that we have, that we don't realize we have, if you've ever taken an assessment of our community, is the Hancock County Shelter Workshop. Wouldn't even recognize it. It's been there forever. I remember when it was a skid shop on Cove Road and the JECs used to help them pull the nails out. Had a fella call me a number of years ago, said, Bubba, we're moving from Chicago to the Pittsburgh area, but we have a child that needs something. So we Googled it. Weirton pulled up on the Google as the only facility that could take care of his needs, the Hancock County Shelter Workshop. We take it for granted. What we have, we take for granted. And we have to recognize this community center has to stand because it's a staple of the community. We can't let it fail. There are things in Weirton that we do that are right. And we have the opportunity to go out and attract people to Weirton to live and to bring their businesses. But we have to make it worth their investment to come here. Moving from one block to the next, a pizza shop, or moving Dollar General. We talked about it 7 years ago. They wanted to build on the lot behind them on Main Street. Well, they moved down here. The only thing it did is it made it more difficult for walk-in traffic. The people who live on Orchard, Elm, and West Street that used to walk into Dollar General and get a jug of milk can't do it now. They got to come down here and go across 5 lanes of highway.
Is that going to repeat it?
Yes,
okay.
it's a long
The
time.
question is, from a business perspective, on Weirton, what would your assessment be of our strength, our opportunities, our weakness, and any threats?
One great opportunity that the city of Weirton has is our TIF district. When the Italians came 2 years ago, Petro Friantoni, they said to me, what do you have to offer us to come to Weirton? My exact words were, $900,000 to build the road and the infrastructure to your $6.1 million facility. As we speak, this company is coming at the end of the year to provide $30 to $40 an hour jobs. Another strength that we have is the Weirton Medical Center. Look what has happened to our Weirton Medical Center in the last 2 years. What an asset that is. You can't find a place to park there, let alone, you can't find a place to park there. And they're expanding their parking lot as we speak. Those are two of the great assets that we have. What are the weaknesses that we have? We just don't promote Weirton enough. We need to get out there and promote Weirton just a little bit more. We need to put dollars and cents into an account to promote and show off the city of Weirton.
That concludes the questions. Now we're going into the closing remarks. And Bubba Miller will be first, followed by Mayor Conley.
Thank you again for being here. I do remember the TIF district because I was in the class that went down to Wheeling Island when J.P. Morgan Chase was talking to the cities around the country. At that time, we were the 48th state to get into TIF districting. We had a hard time getting some businesses to go in there because there were individuals, even a former president of Weirton Steel, didn't want some of those businesses in there. So it took a while to get things done. And when we did the Walmart, Governor Manchin was not favorable to Walmart. And we had a meeting and I said, well, what do you got, Governor? He had nothing. But here's what I want you to remember. If you remember anything, Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. They're a small community, about 15,000. They went through what we're going through. They had factories there, steel, foundries, fabrics. They lost a lot of jobs. It took them a while, but they rebuilt themselves. They took a look at what they had, and they structured their community to go in a different direction. And now they're a destination for people in that part of Pennsylvania. Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. had a couple come in to see me one day for wings, and they were talking about, she was originally from Weirton, he was from over in Philadelphia area, they're moving back here, they love Weirton, but he started talking about this Phoenixville, so I investigated it. This is what we need to do. We need to look at our downtown, what can we do down here, but we got vacant buildings on Weirton Heights now. We got to look at that whole development of these, the area, and bring in other entertainments and activities that will enhance our community. Thank you.
Positive, positive, positive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. During my term as mayor, we've made some exciting advances, believe it or not. And one of the biggest is the home rule program. As a result, I believe Weirton is in a position to reinvent itself in the next 4 to 5 years. Many new businesses have opened over the past 4 years in scheduling some of the big facilities in the Three Springs Business Park. Barney's Bakery, Petro Fiantoni, creating 175 to 200 $30 to $50 jobs. And that's only a start of what they're going to do. And that was because of this administration enticing them with the aid of the Chamber of Commerce and the BDC, getting them to locate here. That's huge. And that speaks volumes of what they can afford to do business in our city of Weirton. There are a lot of other economic development projects in the works, and I will work hard to make sure those projects become reality. Further, if I am elected, I will keep my efforts to keep the city of Weirton a safe place to live, to work, and to aggressively arrest drug dealers. Also, I will continue to pave more roads and keep the city of Weirton clean. One thing about this mayor, whether you like me or whether you don't, whether you vote for me or whether you don't, I'm involved in the community. I'm involved. Being involved in the community means one thing. I listen to the bankers, I listen to the attorneys, I listen to the funeral home directors, and I listen to the common citizens' problems and complaints. I can't solve them all, but I listen and I try. Thank you.
Thank you.